أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Lesson number 125, Surah Yusuf, will begin from ayah number 77. In the previous ayat, we learnt about the incident in which Binyamin, the brother of Yusuf a.s., was accused of having committed theft. And we learnt that there are two opinions mainly about that incident. Some say that it was deliberate. It was the plan of Yusuf a.s. in order to keep his brother in Egypt with him. Because he had met him after such a long time. And to know that his brother was going to go back, it was very difficult for him. So he wanted to have some family with him whom he could see every day, whom he could meet every day, whom he could speak to every day. Because definitely he must have missed them in all of those years. And secondly, it is also said that this was completely coincidental. It was not planned by Yusuf a.s., but rather it was the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now a question may arise that Yusuf a.s., if he did put the cup in the bag of his brother, Binyamin, that cup belonged to who? It belonged to the king. Because we learned about it that it was Suwa' al-Malik. It was a cup of the king. So, you can say that it wasn't really his property. Then why did he put it in the bag of his brother? And if we take the first opinion, that he put it in the bag of his brother to surprise him with a gift when he got back home, how could he do that? We discussed earlier as well, and I would like to mention this again, to make this clear to you, that although it was the property of the king, but Yusuf a.s. was the one who was using it. He was given that cup to use it for his work. And the position that Yusuf a.s. had was not an ordinary position. He had a position of authority in which he could do whatever he wanted to without being questioned, without being asked about it. We learned earlier that the king said to Yusuf a.s. that you are ladayna makinun. You are fully established. You're not answerable to anyone. And he said that اجعلني على خزائن الأرض. Make me the authority over the treasures of the land. So if he had the authority, then definitely he had the liberty to give away whatever he wanted and replace it with another thing. He had that authority. And then why was it declared as theft? Because the people of Yusuf a.s., meaning his servants, they did not know that Yusuf a.s. had put it. They just realized that that cup was missing. And in that panic, they just announced that you people are thieves. You have committed great theft. And the incident, it happened so quickly that Yusuf a.s. was not able to say anything. He was not able to stand up for anything. The conversation, the way it broke out, and the way the search began, it was very, very quick. So he wasn't able to take any step. But eventually what happened? The brother of Yusuf a.s., Binyamin, he was to stay in Egypt. So now what happened? When it was established that Binyamin had apparently committed theft, and the brothers were very confident that no one amongst them had committed theft, now they were shocked. Obviously, if one of them had committed theft, the entire group looked bad. Isn't it so? Because it was said earlier that Ya ayyatuhul iru, O caravan, you are sariqun. And they said, we never committed theft. And one of them, from their bags, a cup was discovered. Now all of them were looking bad. So what did they do then? The brothers of Yusuf a.s. qalu, they said, in yasriq, if he has committed theft, who? Binyamin. If he has committed theft, faqad, then in fact, saraqa, he committed theft. Who? Akhun, a brother, lahu, for him, min qablu, before. Meaning already, his brother, meaning his full brother, also committed theft before. Notice that Binyamin is supposed to be their brother as well. And if Binyamin had a brother, he would be their brother as well. But they completely disassociate themselves from them. That if he has committed theft, then his brother also committed theft before. Who do they mean by his brother? Yusuf a.s. Now what does it mean by this? They're saying that he committed theft. There are different opinions about this. First of all, it has been said that this was a complete lie. It was a complete lie. There was no reality to it. They just said it so that they don't look bad. They were just trying to show that this boy, his brother, his entire family is bad. Just as many times, if a girl does not like her in-laws, and if she is accused of something, she will blame who? Her in-laws, for everything. Similarly, if a girl does not get along with a particular friend, she will blame her friend for everything. She will not take the blame for anything at all. So this was a complete lie. Others have said that Yusuf a.s. was accused of having committing theft in his childhood, but the reality was completely different. It wasn't actually that he had committed theft, but the brothers or the rest of the people, they took it as if it was theft. And there are several incidents that are narrated. Like, for example, it is said that once one of his relatives, they had a golden idol in their house. And when Yusuf a.s. saw that, he just picked it up and he took it outside and he broke it. He shattered it to pieces. He broke it. And he was a child. You can imagine a child if he's told, this is bad, this is not good. And if the child has some khair in himself, he will try to destroy those things. Like, for example, there was a child whose mother always used to tell him, don't drink Coke. Never have Coke. It's not good for you. And he himself would not have Coke. And if anybody else was having Coke, he would go and dump their Coke without even asking them. So now, would you accuse that child of, robbing people, of harming people? No. First of all, he's a child. Secondly, if he's doing it out of goodwill and out of some dislike for evil. So Yusuf a.s. had also done such an action in his childhood, but the brothers, they took it as theft, just to make him look bad. When you don't like someone, when you disagree with someone and everything, then what happens? Anything that they do, you will look at it as something negative. So then what happened? Did Yusuf a.s. say, how dare you say that? How could you say I committed theft? When did I ever commit theft? He didn't say anything. فَأَسَرَّهَا, but he concealed it. Look at his patience. Even at this point, he does not blow up. He does not even expose himself. فَأَسَرَّهَا, he concealed it. He concealed what? The reality of their statement. And he concealed his anger and his annoyance. فِي نَفْسِهِ, in himself, وَلَمْ يُبْدِهَا, and he did not reveal it lahum, to them. He didn't show it to them. He didn't show his anger. He did not show his annoyance. He did not even tell them what the reality was. قَالَ, he said, أَنْتُمْ, you all, شَرٌ, are worse, مَكَانًا, in place. When did he say this? And how did he say this? He said this in his heart. He said this in his heart. That أَنْتُمْ شَرٌ مَكَانًا, you are more worse in position. What does it mean by this? You are worse in position. Worse than who? Worse than Binyamin and worse than Yusuf. If you say that Yusuf committed theft, and if you see Binyamin as committing theft, then your position is much worse. How? That you stole a brother of yours from your father. You stole a brother of yours from your father. You said to him that you were going to take him for some fun, for a picnic, for a day out. But you ended up throwing him where? Into the well. And you stole your brother from his father. So your position is much worse. Your wrongdoing is much worse. Wallahu a'lamu, and Allah is most knowing bima tasifun, about that which you ascribe, about that which you assert. Tasifun is from the root letters waw, sad, fa, from the word wasf, and wasf is an attribute, a description. So whatever description you're giving to me that I have committed theft, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows very well about its reality, whether I committed theft or not. So we see that Yusuf a.s. is extremely patient. He does not show himself. And at the same time, he does not even show any anger. And he leaves the matter to who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows better. And this is something that we need to realize as well. That many times we are in a situation where we cannot speak for ourselves. Where we cannot defend ourselves. Where we are being accused. Where we are being misunderstood. We have a completely different intention and the other person misunderstands us. We don't know how to express ourselves. It happens. Now in these situations, what should we do? Make several attempts to show ourselves as innocent? Make several attempts to show to the other person that we are very honest? No matter what we do, sometimes the other person in his bias, he does not understand. What are we supposed to do? Leave the matter to Allah. Allah knows. My Rabb knows. Because ultimately, everyone is going back to who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who is the ultimate judge? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So leave it to Him. He will take care of you. And this is exactly what Yusuf alayhi salam did. قالوا, they said, Ya ayyuhal azizu, or Aziz. Now they don't realize that the person whom they described as a thief, now they're calling him Aziz. Ya ayyuhal Aziz, or Aziz. Now look, the title of Yusuf alayhi salam in that country was what? Aziz as well. Because he was also the finance minister. And he had gained training where? In the house of the finance minister. So, or Aziz, inna lahu, indeed for him, aban is a father, shaykhan kabira, who is very old. He has a father who is an old man. Who has a father? Binyamin. They don't say, our father is an old man. They said, this boy, he has a father who is a very old man. And the title with which they call him, Ya ayyuhal Aziz, they say this title in order to show extreme respect for him. Extreme respect for him. That, oh honorable one, oh Aziz, this boy has a father who loves him a lot and he is an aged man. The word shaykh is used for someone who is old, a man who is elderly, generally aged between 50 and 80. But from this, the word is not limited to someone who is aged, who is elderly, but it also applies to someone who is respectable, who is very noble, who is knowledgeable. And shaykhan, old man, kabiran, very old. So he has a father who is an old man. فَخُذْ, so you should take أَحَدَنَا, one of us, مَكَانَهُ, in his place. Because our father, he loves him a lot, and he doesn't love us as much. So if you keep him as a slave for 1 year, because he's been proven guilty, then what's going to happen? His father is going to become very, very hurt, very upset. Now our father doesn't really like us that much, so why don't you keep one of us in his place? فَخُذْ أَحَدَنَا مَكَانَهُ إِنَّا نَرَاكَ, indeed we see you, مِنَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, of those who are muhsin. Who called him muhsin? The prisoners call him muhsin. And now his brothers, they call him a muhsin as well. Why do they call him a muhsin? That in the way you have been generous towards us, in the way that you have been kind, in the way that you have treated us, you have been very good. So what does this show to us? That Yusuf a.s., his character, his good behavior, his good treatment was very evident. Very evident. It was very obvious. And it would show in every situation. No matter who he was dealing with, his good behavior would become manifest. Because sometimes what happens? We choose to be good to some people, and we choose to be otherwise with some other people. But Yusuf a.s. is seen as being good towards everyone, whether they are his relatives, or they are his enemies, or they are strangers, no matter who they are. And this is what good akhlaq is. That a person is not double-faced. That a person does not choose to be good in certain situations and not in other situations. No. His good character is a part of him. He doesn't need to pretend to be good. It comes out naturally, which is why no matter what state a person is in, his good character will be shown. Qala, he said, meaning Yusuf a.s., he says, Ma'ad Allah, I seek the refuge of Allah. Meaning, may Allah protect me. May Allah give me refuge. Meaning, may Allah save me from what? And that, نَأْخُذَ, we take, إِلَّا except, man, the one who, وَجَدَنَا, we found, مَتَاعَنَا, our possession, عِنْدَهُ, with him. May Allah protect us from taking someone other than the one whom we found guilty of committing theft. May Allah save us from inflicting the punishment on someone who is not guilty. If we take someone other than the one who has been proven as committing theft, then this would be injustice on our part. Who should we punish? The one who is guilty, not the one who has not committed anything wrong. Inna, indeed we, idhan, then, lazalimun, surely wrongdoers. Meaning, if we were to take anyone other than him, anyone other from among you, then this would be injustice on our part. So what does this show to us? That being muhsin does not mean that you have to compromise on your principles. We think that if we are being good towards other people, if we are doing ihsan towards other people, then we should compromise on our principles. That we should compromise on the commands that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. Being a muhsin means that you call what is right as right, and what you call what is wrong as wrong. Doing what you are saying, meaning you or brothers, what you're saying, this is not ihsan. If you say that we should keep you in his place, and you call that ihsan, that's not ihsan. That would be zulm on our part. Because then we would be harming someone who did not commit anything wrong. So what's the lesson in this for us? That ihsan is to remain firm upon the principles, upon rules, not swerving from them, not compromising on them. So we see that Yusuf a.s., he did not give up. He did not say that, fine, take this brother of yours, and I will keep one of you in his place instead. He didn't. And there was no way of making him change his mind. So falamma, then when, istay'asu, they had despaired. Who had despaired? The brothers of Yusuf a.s., the ikhwatu Yusuf, they had given up hope, they had lost hope, minhu, from him. From who? From Yusuf a.s., from their Aziz. They had given up hope that he was going to change his mind. That he was not going to let Binyamin go. And at the same time, he wasn't even going to keep someone else in his place. He was definitely going to keep Binyamin. And istay'asu from the root letters, ya, hamza, sin, yes. And what does yes mean? To give up hope. And istay'asa is to become completely disappointed. To have no hope left. So when they had given up hope completely, what did they do? Khalasu, they secluded. From the root letters, kha, lam, sad. And khalasa literally is to become pure. And from this to become alone. So khalasu, they secluded themselves najiyan, in private consultation. Meaning all of the brothers, the ikhwata Yusuf, minus who? Binyamin and obviously Yusuf a.s. Because at this point they didn't know that he was their brother. So all of them, they withdrew from the rest of the people. They sat privately. No one else was amongst them. It was just the brothers. And they sat down to have a private discussion. That what should we do now? And najiyya from the root letters, noon, jim, waw, from the word najwa, which means a private consultation, a private discussion. So they sat down in seclusion, away from the rest of the people, to discuss as to what they should do. Qala, he said. Who said? Kabiruhum, the eldest of them. The eldest of them in what sense? In age. And who was that? What was his name? Rubil. Remember? Rubil. And in English? With an N. So qala kabiruhum, he said. Others say that the eldest of them, the greatest of them, in his opinion, in his wisdom. And it was supposed to be Yehuda, the son of Yaqub a.s., Yehuda. However, it's obvious that kabiruhum, the greatest of them, meaning the eldest of them. He said to the rest of the brothers that alam ta'lamu, don't you know, meaning you know very well, that anna abakum, that indeed your father, qad akhada alaykum mawthiqan, he took from you a firm promise, min Allah, from Allah. Meaning he made you take a firm promise in the name of Allah. He made you swear by Allah. He made you take the name of Allah. And he made you promise that you are going to guard your brother and you're going to bring him back. But look what you're doing now. What are we going to do? We have lost control of our brother. We cannot take him back. We have been unable to protect him. We will not be able to take him back. Whereas our father, he took a promise from us. وَمِن قَبْلُ, and remember that from before, what did you do? مَا فَرَّطْتُمْ, what you failed, فِي Yusuf, concerning Yusuf alayhi salam. That before, long time ago, what did you do concerning Yusuf? You said to your father, you're going to take him out for a picnic. And you failed in that. Apparently, according to him, you failed in that. Because what did you do? You said to him that a wolf ate him. He has been killed by a wolf. So now you have lost Binyamin, and before you also lost Yusuf. And the word farrattum is from the root letters farata, farata, furut, which is to rush. And from this, tafriq is to underdo something, to fall short in doing something, to neglect. So before, you neglected in the matter of Yusuf alayhi salam. You caused him to be lost from his father as well. So now that we have made these two major mistakes, فَلَنْ أَبْرَحَ, so I will never leave. Abraha from the root letters, ba-raha, and barah is to leave. Abraha, I will leave. لَنْ أَبْرَحَ, I will never leave from this land. Al-Arda, this land of Egypt. حَتَّى, until يَأْذَنَ لِي أَبِي, until my father gives me permission to return to him. Meaning, I'm staying right here. I'm not going back home. And I'm not leaving until my father allows. Because we have committed one mistake in the past, I cannot go up to him with this face again. I cannot go up to him saying that we have lost his other son as well. I cannot go up to him twice and say that we have lost your children. So I'm not leaving حَتَّى يَأْذَنَ لِي أَبِي أَوْ or يَحْكُمَ اللَّهُ لِي, Allah judges for me. Allah passes a judgment concerning me. What is His judgment concerning me? That until I die. If my father does not allow me to leave, I'm not leaving. Until Allah judges for me, meaning I die. So I'm not leaving. وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الْحَاكِمِينَ, and He is the best of those who judge. And يَحْكُمُ اللَّهُ لِي has also been understood as that Allah judges in my favor. How? That somehow or the other our brother is released from here. So he says to the rest of the brothers that I am not going to return to my father in this state. We lost one brother before, and I will not be the criminal of losing another brother of ours. I cannot do that. I cannot face my father. What does it show to us? That now the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, they were realizing their mistake. They were realizing their mistake. You may wonder that why is it that Yusuf alayhi salam did not just tell them that he was a brother? Why go out through all of this? If the first time when he saw the brothers and he recognized them, why didn't he tell them who he was? Similarly, when Binyamin came the second time with the rest of the brothers, then why didn't he tell the rest of the brothers as well that he was Yusuf? If he told Binyamin, why didn't he tell the rest of them? He told Binyamin that inni ana akhuka. Why? Why go through all of this? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a plan. Remember, كَذَلِكَ كِدْنَا لِيُوسُف. If we take that opinion that this whole plan of keeping Binyamin in Egypt, it was not deliberate, it was completely coincidental. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a plan, and what was that plan? That the brothers even, they got to realize their mistake. Even they got to realize their mistake. And how would they realize their mistake? When they repeated the same mistake again, but not deliberately. This was not their fault. But it seemed as though it was their fault. So look at the remorse, the regret in the words of this older brother, that I am not going back to my father in this state. We committed a crime in the past. I cannot go to him, telling him that we have lost his other son as well. So we see that now they are realizing their mistake as well. Irji'u, he says to them, the rest of the brothers, that all of you go back, where? Home, ila abikum, to your father. فَقُولُوا, then you say, Ya abana, O our father, inna banaka, indeed your son, saraqa, he has committed theft. Tell him that, O our father, indeed your son has committed theft. But, وَمَا شَهِدْنَا, but we have not seen it. We did not testify. إِلَّا, except بِمَا عَلِمْنَا, with what we were told, with what we learned. What does it mean by this? وَمَا شَهِدْنَا إِلَّا بِمَا عَلِمْنَا. This has been understood in two ways. That firstly, وَمَا شَهِدْنَا, we did not see, we did not bear witness, meaning we did not see him committing theft. We did not see him stealing. And we only say that he committed theft because بِمَا عَلِمْنَا, because we have come to know. And how did we come to know? That the cup was extracted from his bag. We did not see him putting it in his bag. We did not see him committing theft, and he denied committing theft. إِلَّا بِمَا عَلِمْنَا, but we knew that he did because the cup was extracted from his bag. Secondly, it is said that وَمَا شَهِدْنَا, meaning we don't testify to this theft. وَمَا شَهِدْنَا, and we don't testify إِلَّا, except بِمَا عَلِمْنَا, because of what we have come to know. We don't testify to his theft except because we have come to know. We have come to know what? That he committed theft. How? That the cup was extracted. So what's the difference between the two meanings? That in the first case, shahidna is referring to our seeing him committing theft. If we saw him committing theft, we would have stopped him. And secondly, shahidna, testify to the fact that he committed theft. وَمَا كُنَّا, and we were not, لِلْغَيْبِ, for the unseen, حَافِظِينَ, ones who guard. We are not at all ones who can guard the unseen. What does it mean by this? We cannot guard the unseen. Meaning, what is hidden from us, what is unseen, how could we have guarded it? In other words, if he had stolen in front of us, we would have stopped him. We would have never allowed him. But he did not steal in front of us. So how could we stop him? Because previously, what happened? The brothers of Yusuf a.s., when they had taken Yusuf with them for the picnic, they said that we left him with our stuff and we went racing. And when we came back, a wolf had eaten him up. So it was their fault. They were not guarding him. Right? The way that they presented the story, it was their fault. Because they did not guard him, they did not protect him, they didn't look after him. Now over here they say, how could we have guarded for the unseen, meaning what was not before us? We never saw him committing theft. If we had seen him, we would have stopped him. Definitely we would have stopped him. Secondly, it is also said that وَمَا كُنَّا لِلْغَيْبِ حَافِظِينَ, meaning we could not have guarded against the unseen. Meaning when we gave our pledge, we didn't know that he was going to commit theft. If we knew that he was going to commit theft, we would never have taken him with us. Never. So we could never have guarded against the unseen. وَاسْأَلْ, and to prove the truthfulness, what do? They say to him that وَاسْأَلْ, and you ask الْقَرْيَةَ, the city. Ask the city. Which city? الَّتِي, which كُنَّا فِيهَا, we were in it. The city that we were in, meaning that city of Egypt where we had gone to purchase food from, ask the people of that qaryah. Because obviously, how can a person ask a city? It's understood that, ask the people of that city. If you don't believe us, ask them if your son really committed theft or not. And if you can't go that far, then ask who? وَالْعِيرَ, and the caravan. الَّتِي, which أَقْبَلْنَا فِيهَا, we came in it. We advanced in it. Meaning, the caravan in which we returned from Egypt to Canaan, ask the people of that caravan. Ask the rest of the people. If you don't believe us, ask them. Because it wasn't just the brothers of Yusuf a.s. who had traveled themselves alone. It was some other people from Canaan as well who had gone with them to purchase food from Egypt. So if you don't trust us, go ask them. Go ask the people of the caravan. You will know about our honesty. You will know that we did try to protect him as much as we could, but when he stole, we never saw him. And if we had seen him, we would have stopped him. وَإِنَّا لَصَادِقُونَ, and indeed we are surely truthful. Truthful in what? In what we say. We are truthful in what we say, that he committed theft. And we did not see him. Why are they emphasizing so much? Why do they have to emphasize so much? Because of what happened in the past. Their father did not trust them anymore. He did not trust them anymore. Because the story that they made about Yusuf a.s., that a wolf ate him, that was ridiculous. It was clearly false. It was clearly made up. And Yaqub alayhi salam, he knew that Yusuf alayhi salam had a dream. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was going to teach him ta'wilul ahadith. Allah was going to give him knowledge. Allah was going to choose him to be a prophet. He knew that Yusuf alayhi salam was going to live. So when the brother said he has died, he knew that it was a lie. It was a fabrication. So because of this, their father did not trust them anymore. And this is what happens when a person develops a bad reputation. When a person lies once, he loses his credibility. When a person lies again and again, when a person cheats other people, then people don't trust him anymore. So he needs to emphasize so much so that other people can believe him. But we see that despite all of this emphasis, does their father believe them? No, he still does not believe them. He says, قَالَ, he said, بَلْ rather سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَمْرًا. Rather, your souls have enticed you to something. The same words that he said before, when they did not bring Yusuf a.s. back with them. He said, rather, سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ. Your nafs has made easy for you. سَوَّلَت from the root letters, sin wa lam, and you know that sawwala is to present something as beautiful, especially something negative, especially something bad, something evil. And when it's presented as beautiful, then a person wants to do it. So there is something that you did, and you considered it to be very good. This is why you have done it. بَلْ سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ أَنفُسُكُمْ. Your anfus made it beautiful. Amran, a matter. So what should I do? فَصَبْرٌ, so patience, جَمِيلٌ, that is beautiful. What am I supposed to do? I am supposed to have patience that is jameel. And what kind of patience is jameel? Sabrun jameel, in which a person does not complain to who? To who? To people. To anyone but Allah. And sabrun jameel, beautiful patience, is also in which a person does not give up hope. Remember that first of all, he does not complain to people. He only complains to who? Allah. And complaining to Allah does not mean a person objects that, oh Allah, why this? Why this? Why me? No. Complaining means to Allah that a person just puts out his sorrows and his griefs before Allah. And secondly, a person does not give up hope. So he says, I am going to do the same thing. Sabrun jameel. That is most fitting. Asallahu, perhaps Allah, an ya'tiyani, that He will come to me, bihim, with all of them, jami'an, altogether. Look at the hope of Yaqub alayhi salam. Instead of giving up hope, that now I have lost another son of mine. What does he say? That perhaps Allah will bring all of them back to me. Who does he mean by all of them? Yusuf and Binyamin and Rubil as well. The one who stayed back in Egypt. He stayed back in Egypt to show to the father about the truthfulness of the rest of the brothers. So he says that hopefully Allah will bring all of them back to me. Innahu huwal alim. Indeed, He is the one who is knowledgeable. Knowledgeable of what? Aware of what? My predicament, my suffering. He knows what I'm going through. And He is Al-Hakim. He is the one who is wise in His actions, in His decisions about me. If He has decreed this, there is some wisdom behind it. Just imagine, a person loses one child, and then he loses another child. First child, he doesn't know where he is. He has no idea where he is. And the second child, he is told that he's taken as a prisoner in a foreign land. Just imagine, in a foreign land. And you yourself are so weak, so incapable, that you cannot go searching for them. You cannot go asking that your son should be released. You don't have that authority. You don't have that ability. But look at his patience and look at his hope. That he does not give up at all in the fact that he was going to see Yusuf a.s. This is what sabrun jameel is. This is what it means by being hopeful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not giving up hope, not despairing of the mercy of Allah. وَتَوَلَّى عَنْهُمْ, and he turned away from them. From who? From ikhwatu Yusuf, from the rest of the sons. He turned away from them. What does it mean by this? That he did not address them anymore. He just went and sat separately. He did not go after them, asking them to tell him more. No, he just left them. And this is one of the best ways of dealing with the one whom you are upset with. What? That you ignore them. Because if you talk to them, what's going to happen? You're going to show anger. There is going to be arguments. There are going to be fights. You might say something that is not appropriate. You might say a word that Allah does not approve of. So the best thing to do when you are upset with someone is to just ignore them. And ignoring them does not mean you never talk to them again. What's the limit that we have been given? 3 days. So وَتَوَلَّى عَنْهُمْ, he turned away from them. وَقَالَ, and he said, يَا أَسَفَا, oh my sorrow. عَلَى Yusuf, upon Yusuf. The loss of the second son reminded him of his previous loss, of his previous grief. The grief that he was suffering now, it reminded him of the grief that he was suffering from before. Ya asafa ala Yusuf. Oh my grief, oh my sorrow on Yusuf. Notice ya asafa. Ya is harf nida. And remember, harf nida is not always for calling out to someone. It's also to show exclamation. Just as we read earlier, ya bushra. So similarly, ya asafa, oh my sorrow. And asafa is actually asafi. The word is actually asafi, which is why it's my sorrow. But the E sound has been turned into a. Why? Because it shows more agony. It shows more desperation. It expresses more sadness. So, ya asafa. Now the question is, what kind of sadness is asaf? What kind of sorrow is asaf? It is said that asaf is huzn ala ma fata. It is sorrow over what a person has lost. Over what a person has lost. What you've lost, and you become sad about it, this is what asaf is. And it's also said that asaf is a combination of huzn and ghadab. It's a combination of sadness as well as anger. It is such sadness, such sorrow, in which a person has feelings of revenge, and he becomes very upset, he becomes very frustrated. Like for example, in this situation, he was sad over the loss of who? His 2 sons. But at the same time, he was angry at who? At the rest of the sons. He wasn't angry at Allah, not at all. He was not angry at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But rather he was angry towards who? His other children. And Ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu said that asaf gives the meaning of both huzn as well as anger, and sometimes it gives the meaning of sadness, and sometimes it gives the meaning of ghadab. So, ya asafa, oh my sorrow, ala Yusuf, upon Yusuf. وَبِيَضَّتْ, and it became white. عَيْنَاهُ, his 2 eyes. His 2 eyes, they became white. Why? مِنَ الْحُزْنِ, out of grief, out of sorrow. What does it mean by this? That his 2 eyes became white out of sorrow. إِبْيَضَّتْ is from the root letters بَيَضَّتْ, from the word bayid, and it means whiteness of the color of something. And إِبْيَضَّتْ, it turned white. إِبْيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ, this has been understood in 2 ways. That first of all, the eyes, they became very weak. In other words, he turned blind. He turned blind. Why? Because of excessive crying, because of excessive weeping. Just imagine, he cried so much that he became blind. Literally, he became blind. Generally, people lose their eyesight when? Or their eyesight will go very weak when? When they're staring at the computer screen all day long. Then they have to wear glasses. Or sometimes they have to get a surgery done. Or sometimes people develop eye problems with age. Or sometimes due to some accident. Due to different reasons. But over here, Yaqub a.s., he loses his eyesight because of crying, because of the grief that he was going through, because of the sadness that he had in his heart, the pain that he had in his heart. He had lost 2 of his children. One, he didn't know where he was. The other was a captive in a foreign land. And secondly, it is also said that وَبِيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ, his eyes turned white, meaning they were filled with tears. They were filled with tears. They were glistening with tears, always teary. He always had tears in his eyes, all the time. Just imagine if someone has tears in their eyes are glistening, they're sparkling. So, because of that, the eyes have been called ibiyaddat, they turned white. You always found tears in the eyes of that man. min al-huzni, because of grief over the loss of Yusuf and his other children. فَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ. So he was one who suppresses much. Notice, he was crying a lot to the point that he became blind, but he did not complain to people. Because he was Kalim. He used to suppress his sorrow. He used to suppress his anger, his frustration. He could have told the rest of his children, I disown you. Go away from here. I have nothing to do with you. Your jealousy, your envy has caused me so many problems. He could have done that. But he was Kalim. He was one who controlled himself. He did not show his anger. And he did not complain before people. And Kalim is who? One who struggles to suppress his anger, or one who struggles to suppress his tears, to hold back his tears. One who does not express his anguish, his sadness. And we learned earlier in Surah Ali Imran, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ, those who suppress their anger. And remember that kalam is basically used for the breathing pipe, the windpipe, with which you breathe. So kalama is to control that, to suppress that. Because you can imagine as a person is crying, as he sighs, as he lets out a breath and he inhales in very heavily, kalama is to control that. And as a person wants to yell, and a person wants to wail, and he wants to scream, kalama is to suppress that. فَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ. He was filled with suppressed agony. He was grief-stricken. He was anguished. But he did not manifest his grief. He did not show it at all. So he suppressed his anger and he also suppressed his grief. We see that Yaqub a.s., he was extremely sad. He was extremely sad. And you may wonder that this kind of sadness, that you're crying so much that you go blind, this is not really a good thing. Because generally what do we learn? That you should be patient. This is what we learn. That you should trust Allah. That you should rely upon Him. But we see that Yaqub a.s. is crying so much. Because he was a human being as well. What does this show to us? That prophets, they're human beings. They have feelings. They're people. They go through the same experiences. And remember that grief is a completely natural feeling. If a person does not suffer from grief at all, that means there's a problem. His heart is too hard. That no matter what happens, it doesn't affect him. Grief is a natural feeling. But remember that a person should not let grief consume him. No matter how grief-stricken he is, he should be hopeful. He should be hopeful. And we see that Yaqub a.s., although he was very sad, but he did not give up hope. He never gave up hope. What did he say? That perhaps Allah will bring them all to me. And in the following ayat, we will learn that he tells his sons, go and search for them. So when a person is suffering from a great loss and he's very sad, what should he do? Say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And a person should be careful not to utter any words that could be displeasing to Allah. And over here, he does not say any words that could be displeasing to Allah. Recently, someone was telling me that there was a very young couple, and they lost their daughter, their baby. She was still a very small baby, and she passed away. It just so happened that she was not well, and they weren't able to take her to the hospital. And in that process, her health was neglected, and Allahu A'lam what exactly happened, but the baby died. Now the parents were so upset, they were so sad, but at the same time they were very angry. Who were they angry upon? Their family. That why didn't you take us to the hospital on time? To the point that they would not speak to their family members. And when somebody told her that may Allah give you the ability to be very patient and may Allah give you a great reward for your patience, she said, I don't want this reward. Why was my child taken away from me? This is what happens. Many times this happens with people. When they suffer from a great loss and they're reminded of patience, they're reminded of a great reward awaiting them, they say such words. But Yaqub a.s., he was Kalim. He suppressed his anger. He suppressed his emotions. He did not say anything that was negative. But he wept. Because weeping is natural. Feeling sad is very natural. The Prophet ﷺ said, this is a hadith in Bukhari, that Isma'u, listen, Inna Allah la yu'adhibu bidam'il ayn. Allah does not punish for the weeping of the eye. Allah does not punish you if you cry, if tears fall out of your eyes. He does not punish you for that. وَلَا بِحُزْنِ الْقَلْبِ, nor does He punish you for the sadness of your heart. The sadness that you feel in your heart, Allah will not punish you for that. وَإِنَّمَا يُعَذِّبُ بِهَذَا, but indeed He punishes for this. أَوْ يَرْحَمُ, or He shows mercy. And the Prophet ﷺ pointed towards his tongue. He pointed towards his tongue. Because when you're sad, you can cry. You can feel sad. It's natural. But you should not say anything that is negative. You should not say anything that is objectionable, that Allah would be displeased with. Because in such times, people show their frustration towards people, and they also show their upsetness towards the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a hadith of Bukhari. Now there is a question, that he says, Ya asafa, oh my sorrow. Does this contradict sabr? No, it does not contradict sabr. Why? Because if he is saying this, he's saying this before who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this was also like a dua, that, oh Allah, look at my grief. It's been so long. Have mercy upon me. So when he's saying this, Ya asafa, this is like praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And his situation is different because, yes, he lost 2 children. But this was different because it was his other children who had done something to make him lose his sons. So one is that you lose your child, he dies. And the other is that you don't even know where your child is. You don't know where he is, what he's gone through in life. Someone you're so protective about, you have no idea where he is, what he has gone through. And all of that has been caused by who? By your other children. Just imagine what Yaqub a.s. must have been going through. Ya asafa ala Yusuf, wa biyaddat aynahu min al-huzni fahuwa kalim. And he was kalim, he was one who suppressed himself.